Shakespeare once said all the world's a stage, but he didn't tell us how to get there. This is Steps to the Stage, a 7th Street Theater podcast. I'm your host, Colin Pinedo, and let's get the show going.
Thank you, places!
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Steps to the Stage, a 7th Street Theater podcast where we talk about what it takes to put on a community theater production with the professionals that you know and love. Today is a very special episode because I am joined by both our sound engineer and, once again, this sort of mastermind behind all of this, Kirk L and Joy Rice. We just wanted to do a little end of the year recap for everybody, talk about our experiences with this. We're going to keep going after the end of this year, yes?
Yes, we absolutely
Okay, good.
are.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this was just our first year on the job, sort of
Yeah.
talking about that. Yeah.
Cool. Well, welcome. Welcome back.
It's great to be back.
It honestly seems like that's the case every time we see anyone this year, the last 2 years, because you honestly have no idea how long it's going to be until you see them again. You know, that's really been kind of a weird thing, and especially everything that's going on right now. So we talked a little bit before we started this, but right now, my family is actually dealing with a COVID outbreak. So, yeah. So, my mom and I got tested yesterday. Abby tested positive. My youngest daughter, who was on an episode a few months back.
Yes.
Abby initially contracted it, and so we think the whole family got it because we were obviously together for Christmas. Now we're all vaccinated. Most of us are boosted. Abby had just become eligible, so she hadn't gotten boosted yet. And so, so that's weird news. And I kind of wanted to start this podcast off because it really is, I think, a major theme of what has been happening to all of us in the last couple of years and how that's impacted theater. And so I was hoping on this podcast, you guys, is that we can just kind of talk about it from all perspectives. What we're seeing both locally here at home, what we're seing, on a broader stage as it relates to arts and theater, concerts and productions. They're on, they're off, they're on, they're off. And then there's, a number of other people, family, friends that we know that are dealing with it right now. So the great news is our symptoms are, I had one to 2 days of just kind of body aches, a little bit of a sore throat, and really that was it. Abby has had, we'll call it the worst of it, where she had more aches and pains and headache and fever and sore throat. But for, they were, we'll call it, flu-like, cold-like. So fortunately bearable. We didn't have to go to the hospital. We didn't have to talk to our doctors. Now, of course, my wife and I have been very careful and safe, as well as our family. And we've been doing a lot of research about it. And so for us, it was, it's a mixed bag of emotions. We, for almost 2 years now, have just been, it's the fear of the unknown, as it is with everything. Yep. And so, we've all been dealing with it on all fronts in our lives. And, everyone's heard the term, the COVID fatigue or pandemic fatigue. And I think we've all kind of experienced that on one way or another. And I think that's largely because, we're social creatures as humans. Absolutely. Individually. But this group that we're targeting, including this group on this call, we're people that need that
socially
interaction. Exactly. Yeah. And so it's been tough for us because virtually is fun and it's a good connection. But there was a period of a year there where that was probably 80% of the interaction that you were having with friends, family, and otherwise. So anyway, I'm not trying to bring anybody down or anything. I'm sharing this news.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, I'm sharing this news actually as a, again, as a we're not going to get into anything other than the arts here, but hopefully, people feel confident about the availability to get the vaccine, and if they can, I can speak personally that we're very thankful as a family, and it's been, believe it's been, helpful to us. So we're hoping that that's becomes the prevailing case overall, and that along with this, because of this particular variant, Omicron, it seems to be, it's obviously breaking through to lots of people that have been vaccinated. Everywhere. And so that's fine, in that a majority of those cases are mild symptoms. So, and the reason I'm saying that is that between those that are vaccinated and those that get immunity from contracting, let's hope that gets us closer to where we need to be to get back to kind of a normal run or normal society.
Because the curve has been kind of interesting of
agreed.
Yeah. Of starting back in like the summer of 2020 of, oh God, it's everywhere. What are we going to do? Slowly creeping into, okay, most of us are vaccinated. We think it might be safe to do this again. And then every performance you go to, oh, thank God we're on stage again. We're finally back. Oh my God. And then coming into this new year with Omicron everywhere, everyone's kind of on the edge of their seats if we're going to have to go back to virtual everything again for performances. And so it's very interesting to see the worry into kind of the relief and then back into the worry again.
Yeah.
Especially with things like this.
A positive thing, though, again, as you said, Colin, and I think it's good. I think everyone should be obviously tracking and following and doing positive research. But the one thing that, is, I think, again, a positive sign is, as most people know, the Omicron variant, we don't believe it originated in South Africa, but that's where it was first essentially discovered. And they had major outbreaks, and it was a very unsure and difficult time. It started in November, and basically mid-December, it was through. If that particular situation happens with us, then we can hopefully see a pretty bright future, towards the late January, maybe early February. In that, something like this going through does then create some type of immunity and whatnot. And again, we're not, to everyone that's listening here, again, we try and stay away from jumping sides on anything. We're just talking about reality and what we're dealing with here. So for us, the reason we're talking about it is because we want to get back to our lives. We want to get back to the stage. We want to talk about the steps to the stage, right? The whole reason we started this podcast. And, now obviously we've got, we could do a whole separate series on steps to the stage in a pandemic.
You really could. 6 steps away.
Exactly. Because, because now, and that's some of the things I wanted to talk about, we did put some productions on both for the children's and the adults theater. And by and large, followed a lot of the same protocol, and by and large, I feel it was successful. But as Colin mentioned, there was hopefully there's positive things on the rise. We'll just leave it at that. Hey, Joey, you got Colin and me yapping away as always. How are you doing? How are your family? What's kind of your interaction with all of this, and some of your thoughts on what we just discussed?
Well, of course, my mom, being the director of said shows, she has to take on all that responsibility and stuff. So it's always a constant worry with her, because it actually happened to her before with Outsiders. I think we talked about that before.
But, talked about a lot of the COVID shows.
COVID. I'm not seriously affected by all this because I don't do a whole lot of acting at the theater. I just do the sound stuff.
Right.
I'm away from the COVID people. So
yeah, I will say, because obviously I do stuff for both the adult and the children's theater, and I was really happy, because obviously you follow on social media and you see some of the other theaters near, and this is not a dig or anything on them. I just really feel like 7th Street Theater took it 2 to 3 notches above what was happening out in the rest of our community. And it just really shows the importance of safety and how this theater cares. We're also in we are fortunate enough we get to use a building that comes from the city and the county. And so we have to be very stringent as it relates to following county rules, city rules, state rules, things of that nature. Yeah. And that helps a lot, because that provided us a very good blueprint of how to handle this. So, we made the decision for both theaters that when we moved indoors, we were going to limit capacity. Overall capacity. We were going to keep the front row empty. We tried to keep people, especially in the beginning, we kept space between groups, and we knew ahead of time who they were so that we could place accordingly. And then we required either proof of vaccination or a negative test within, I believe it was either 48 hours, 72 hours, something to that effect, on the way in. And they followed that. And then very strict, keep your mask on during the production. And in some cases, performers were masked. I know recently with the Children's Theater production, they performed with masks on. So I think the theater did an admirable job of doing that. And absolutely. I think the thing that was the most encouraging to me is the patience of those that made the choice to come out and be a part of it, right? Because you have a choice. You can stay at home, and that's great. And we definitely support that person's choice to do what they feel safe doing for themselves and their family. And but during this time, I would say especially the last 6 months of the year where we really had, programs going on, we had great, amazing people that were patient and followed all the rules. And most nights we got to a late start because we were still checking people in, and we were still, doing those types of things. So, but people were very patient, and they dealt with it. And, we were obviously in the beginning, it's kind of a tradition to at the end of the performance, the performers go outside to greet all the guests on the way out. And we didn't do that for the longest time when it started. And it was only until the last couple of productions that we started doing that. But even then, people were really, I think, staying socially distant and respecting all that. So, I mean, that was one thing that I applauded the theater doing. But yeah, Joey, you were saying your mom, Donna Rice, who was also one of our first guests on this and is a big part of our theater. That's the one thing that has got to be amazing. The directors and producers, what they had on their plate to get through this type of situation, because they're responsible for everyone's safety, and they have to make the cast feel safe, the cast families feel safe, and then you have to make your audience feel safe. So my hat goes off to them, because I was only behind the scenes on most of that and saw a lot of the communication back and forth and was part of it. And I just was really impressed with how the group handled it on both sides. So Joey, that's a great point. There's a lot of responsibility that the directors and everybody had to deal with. So I think that was a really positive thing.
Yeah, I remember early on with my choir teacher too. He was kind of running around like a headless chicken.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like Colin was there for that too. Yeah.
The early parts of it.
Yeah. And that, that's the thing I think I'd like to talk about a little bit as well. Because, Colin, you were involved because you actually were at the performance I was at, and at the Mad Feast. So, that's a stage as well. In fact, that's a stage we had to create, which was my first experience with, being a part of it.
And wasn't it super fun and amazing?
Yeah, it was, and it was stressful, and it was.
Yeah, that's part of the fun and the amazingness.
But outside of a pandemic, that's difficult. That whole process is difficult. I mean, that it's talking about steps to the stage, that could be an entire docuseries, is how they turn a high school multi-purpose room. An auditorium, multi-purpose
beautiful
room.
Little, oh God, it's so good.
Isn't it?
It's so, really, I never stop ranting about it.
It really
especially during Christmas time.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Joey,
so you hear that Upland?
Say that again. What happened in Upland?
Into the mic again, Joey. Into the mic again. State the full legal name of the high school, please.
Upland High School.
Once more into the wire. Can you do that?
The Upland High School Elizabethan dinner.
Whatever it is, I don't know what it's called.
Something Elizabethan.
It's something that's not Mad Feast. So
it's something that isn't magical or feast. So
yeah, our Mr. Joey Rice was actually the jester.
Yes, funny.
And you did a fantastic job.
Yeah. So why don't you talk to us about the preparation?
So
and especially in this situation with COVID and things, because you've experienced it before. What was different this time around? What were some of the things you needed to do? And you mentioned that your teacher was running around like a chicken with its head cut off, because we know exactly why. That was quite the undertaking. So I'd love to hear more about it, Joey.
Yeah, we're lucky that we have all the theater people in choir, because because of that we can actually put on Mad Feast. Yeah.
There's way more options that way.
And put it. I mean, I got to say this again. You drive up into a high school parking lot. You see some of the set pieces that are outside that are kind of the entrance, and all of a sudden, slowly but surely, it starts transforming into this different time period, right? Yeah. It's slow. You're walking through the school, and all of a sudden there's a red carpet, and then there's this massive sign that greets you, and then you check in and you go inside, and all of a sudden, like, you're no longer in a high school anymore. Yeah. It was just boom. There's brick everywhere that you felt like you're in a castle. I love the touch.
You're telling me that was in a high school?
Exactly. And then inside there is essentially it's a large tent that's put up, and there's literally knights, suits of armor inside. There's crests.
Standing guard. There's everything, man.
It's transformed, and then the best part of the performers are dressed in period costumes. So, that was quite the undertaking. I want to hear more, Joey, about your preparation and kind of thoughts going through being the jester, because you were the center point every night. I mean, it was. You literally had the opportunity to make and break, and from all accounts, you made the experience.
You made me break.
Fantastic.
And I wasn't even in it.
Well, you're pretty much in it.
You forced being in it upon me.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think Colin and Robbie might have been Russian spies or something like that.
I don't know what that was even about.
Sorry, go ahead, Joey. Tell us about about your performance.
I was really scared at first, because Jester is very different from anything else I've done before, because all that was improvising, and I haven't done a performance that's all been improvising. The closest thing to improv during performance would probably be at I think Mary Poppins, where someone forgot to come on, so we had to improv. That's the closest thing to improvising in a performance that I've done. So I was really scared at first. Then I actually like a week or a few days before, I actually met with our Miss Jessie Pyle and Aaron Pyle. Yeah, they gave me a little private lesson. I actually learned to juggle. I didn't use that during math.
There's so many things, so many secret skills you guys had that you never got to show off. Because the juggle, didn't Ian learn spoons?
He actually played it one of the last nights.
The Lord had playing spoons at the ready, just to pull out whenever.
Davis got pretty mad at him for that, but
did he really?
Yeah, he did. But preparing for the entire show itself, we actually didn't have a whole lot of time on our hands.
Mm-hmm.
We had the one dress rehearsal, but in that dress rehearsal, we actually didn't do improving in it. So the first night that Colin went to, that was actually our first night performing.
Yeah,
and it went perfectly.
Yes, it went perfectly.
You couldn't tell at all.
You couldn't tell at all.
Yeah, and I mean, I was there as well, and it was my first Mad Feast ever. Like, I'd never attended one in prior years when, other alumni from Ayala and from the theater were performing, and I thoroughly enjoyed myself. It was long. I mean, but you guys, if I'm not mistaken, because I know my wife was very involved. You guys got to a point that by, within a day or two, you would basically, tighten that performance up and almost cut out about 30 to 45 minutes from the very first performance, which I think is brilliant. I mean, that you can do that in that environment. As you mentioned, you really didn't have the rehearsing that you're used to, right? How long do we, when a production starts at the theater, how long do we rehearse for?
We have at least a month.
At least a month of actual face-to-face or virtual this year. But in most cases, the casting took place almost 2 months.
Yeah.
In some cases, 3 months prior. So you actually have scripts and you have time to do research and you have time to really develop that character. And you guys didn't, because honestly, your focus was on the music and just
absolutely
everything in general. And oh, by the way, this is being put on by high school students that are still in high school and still have all these commitments with these classes and homework and little things like that.
And bedtimes and stuff.
And that was a professional, little things like bedtimes. And that was a professional performance, you know? So I love that. And I also loved hearing that you reached out to Miss Jessie and Aaron. What a great resource, right?
Soon to be future guests on the Steps to the Stage podcast.
Exactly. Yeah. In fact, that's one thing. Let's talk about Steps to the Stage podcast a little bit.
That
thing. We put together a list when this first started, and we had 10 episodes listed out. I guess you could break it out into another 4 over the technical, but really there's only, I think, 2 or 3 of the original episodes that we had outlined that we haven't had a chance to do yet. And I say we haven't had a chance to do yet because we haven't. In fact, the 2 main ones are Jessie and Aaron, which we have listed as a discussion about preparation and rehearsal. Amazing little tie-in there. But I don't know. I feel like they were busy this year. I felt like something was going on that was taking up a lot of their time.
Yeah, I don't know.
I wonder.
It was like a new house or did they get a new pet or
I'm sure that must have been what it was.
That's
is that what they call it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, they had a baby. So that was one that we didn't get a chance to set up, but we will obviously when we can next year. And then the other one was costuming, and that was going to be with
all sorts of people.
Karen and Kathy, and obviously Karen has had a year, and she's really need to focus on herself and her health, and is seemingly doing great. So we really look forward to doing that episode next year when we can meet up with her. And other than that, we're doing the That's a Wrap part of it, which was the number 10 right now, but we got everybody else in. So all things considered, we did a pretty dang good job of setting this up as a goal. And by and large, we got through it with school and jobs and life and everything else. And I've had a blast, you guys. It's been stressful at times, right? You know, I know Joey has put in a ton of hours in making these episodes sound amazing. And we've talked about this several times. I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I'm sure a lot of people that are listening to this do as well. And there's just a different level of professionalism with ours. I'm biased. I'm very biased.
Okay.
But I also, the other part that I like about it is we're also thinking about ways to improve, and we're thinking about ways to make it even better. So, Joey, my hat's off to you for all the hours and time and effort you put in. And the product is just, I so enjoy.
I'm in high school.
You're in high school. Yes, you are.
Like classes and things to do.
You're in high school. You're in choir in high school. You're also involved in your local theater.
Choir.
So you're involved with this, and you've probably got a few other hobbies that you like to spend a little bit of time on. So that's absolutely
You also
amazing.
have like a YouTube channel that you like regularly edit.
Whoa, are you talking about Joey and acquaintances play video games?
Absolutely, I am.
Nice.
The YouTube channel which you subscribed to and recently had its anniversary special.
Absolutely, you should go watch it. Anyway,
whoa,
that just came out of me. It was involuntary.
So maybe we need to have another podcast next year that is specific to a certain YouTube channel. So, yeah, that's a great segue. Our original goal was this was part of the mentoring project at the theater, and then it became something we wanted to do regularly. And we had a great start. Towards the end, it got a little crazy. There was also this kind of worldwide pandemic thing going on that wasn't really interrupting things at all.
Yeah, I haven't heard of it.
But, I'm definitely looking forward to getting back on track and getting back onto regular episodes. One of the things I think would be great too is to, along with our focus, which has primarily been the children's theater, is to slowly but surely start getting the adult theater involved as well.
Yes.
And having episodes before their particular productions come out. And I would really love to do more specific to the productions that are going on prior to release. Yeah. I would also love to get people that were a part of our theater that have moved on and are doing it professionally now. The Larson's son, who's very involved in New York, would be a great guest, and Jesse and Aaron, outside of the topic for prepping for a production, I would love to talk to them about, their various involvement in the arts. I know Aaron is essentially a professional actor and doing TV and film and stage. And I know Jesse is a teacher of the arts. So there's so many different people that are out there that are affiliated with this theater that I think we could gain some really good insight into. So I look forward for us once we get through this whole, especially my family, we're on the tail end of this thing. So I'm excited about it. Like I said, by and large, most of us have had very few symptoms, and we should be out of quarantine by Sunday. So that's cool.
Okay. Hey.
So after that, I look forward to us getting together and setting out our specific plan for the year. But I definitely want to get more involved in all aspects of the art. And then I especially want to expand into, honestly, our viewership, right? I was just looking before we got on this, and we are getting close to approaching 500 overall downloads.
Oh my God.
That's for all of the episodes. So that's
We're famous.
So
I can't believe this.
But you've got some really good information that's available through the various different Buzzsprout is who we use as our platform. And we're on most of the major platforms. So my goal is to get us on all platforms, to be a lot more active in getting people to subscribe, a lot more active in getting feedback from people on all of our social media. So Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. We even talked about obviously expanding our video portion availability, which I think would be great. And just really getting, the fans involved a little bit more. one thing I think would be really cool is kind of getting some questions or topics.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, have people
like a semi-advice column. That'd be kind of fun.
Exactly.
Like theater advice. Like, you know what I mean?
So since we're on segues, I want to segue back to, I gave some well-deserved praise to Joey, but Colin, you as well. I got to say, and I appreciate you, coming on board. Everyone remembers from our first podcast, kind of that origin story that, Joey and I were doing this as a project, as we talked about in the mentor program. And we talked about a host, and he was like, Colin's the guy. Like, it was, didn't have to think about it much. And it was like one of those things where if Colin were to say no, we were going to figure out a way to get him to say yes.
Through whatever semi-violent means necessary.
Well, we felt confident for a good reason, Colin, that you would bring something to this podcast that you have. I mean, we're 10 episodes in, and it's I love your energy. I love your realistic communication. I love that you make our guests feel comfortable, and you know them. You've worked with all of them.
Oh yeah, that's part of the fun of it. Is I just get to talk to my friends and hang out for an hour. I think
it created an open environment for, I think, really insightful conversations. I think people at first were like, "Oh, okay, they're starting a podcast, whatever. That's everyone's got a podcast." Blah blah. Then the first couple episodes came out, and I kept hearing things like, I really like the quality of it. It's, sounds professional. We've did ads, and, we've supported the people that supported us. And, we've done outlines. We've really taken this very serious. And
there's a whole master doc of like questions and stuff that Joey wrote.
And you come into every interview, Colin, but you come into these interviews with you have a plan. And sometimes that plan doesn't work out, and
no, absolutely not.
You roll with it.
I think I had 2 questions written down for when we interviewed Paul, and then everything else was like, okay, let's just see where this goes.
But that's the beautiful thing.
See what happens.
Is with your energy and your insight and your experience, talking with these amazing people that we've had on over the last, I guess it's been 6 months since we've fully started, 6-7 months.
Yeah, it's been 6 months. Okay.
Yeah, it's been, I think almost a year since at least you guys reached out
since
to
we
me.
started talking about it.
Talking about it.
And we did the pre-production stuff, and
absolutely insane.
It's been 6 months since our first actual episode. And our original thought was one every 2 weeks, and we kept that going for a while, but that's a lot
for the first 2 weeks, and then
it's a lot when it's not your full-time position. Each 25 to 30 minute episode. I think this is a rough estimate, but Joey's been putting in a minimum to 5 to 6 hours editing, minimum on a 25 to 30 minute episode. Would you say that's pretty accurate, Joey?
Yeah.
But it shows. I mean, I think we talked about it a little bit earlier. I went over to Joey's house one day just to kind of learn more about the editing, and I was blown away at the intricacy level that he would take it to. I mean,
it sounds so crisp.
Little things in the background. I'm doing this just to. He would edit that stuff out.
Yeah.
We had there was one time, Colin, you had a pin, and you became very good friends with that pin. And Joey went
artist rendition right here.
Exactly. Joey's got PTSD. Post podcast editing syndrome, PPES. PPES, post podcast editing syndrome. But that's, again, my hat's off to both you guys. This again has been about a year since we started thinking about it, and here we are, and we're having this great conversation. We've grown closer as friends, which I appreciate as well. We've given ourselves this platform to get some good information out there. So for me, My goals are to get regular on the output, include the adult theater, and really just get a much better presence out there online to share this wonderful stuff with more people. So if you're listening, tell your friends, subscribe, like, and
spread the word
and be a part of it.
We do no advertising. It's word of mouth.
What about you, Joey? What are some of your goals from, or what were some of the things that you got out of it this year, and what are some of your goals for next year?
That I got out of this year?
Yeah.
Well, I'll learn to make a podcast.
Whoa.
There you go. Captain Obvious strikes again.
Yeah. Yeah, but like that was the whole point of it, the audio engineering thing. That was the point of doing it. So I did what I wanted to do.
Right.
Great.
Yeah. Next year, pretty much the same thing, just getting better at it, getting faster is what I want to do. But
yeah, I think this format that we're doing here, we've discovered is actually better because it gives you the separate tracks, right? So if we do get back to in person, I think we need to make sure that we have the technology to keep it the same way.
So when I do click the pen really fast,
exactly,
you can just mute the line, and then we're fine.
Yeah, cool. Well, the other, sorry, and you bring up a very good goal, Joey, because I know I've said that I was going to get more involved before, and I've only done a little bit, but I want to get much more involved in the editing process as well to take some of that burden off of you.
okay.
And I'd even, sorry, I'm coming back and going because I realize I have more goals. I want to get at least 1 to 2 more people involved. One from a marketing standpoint and one from a tech standpoint.
Merch drop.
Yeah.
Merch drop.
Nice.
Buy the hoodies. Buy the t-shirts.
Stickers.
Buy the commemorative plates.
By the beanies.
Commemorative plates. How about snow globes?
Buy the coins. Snow globes.
I think Steps to the Stage snow globe.
Steps to the Stage 1-year anniversary coins with certificate of authenticity.
I love it.
$500 a piece, and they are selling fast, folks. You got to call in right now.
We have stickers.
Nice.
There's a number flashing on the screen and also flashing in the audio wave. So you really got to look for it if you're doing the podcast thing.
Yeah.
Nice.
You got to act fast.
Nice. Well, there's one. Obviously, Colin has dropped one of his goals for next year. He wants some dang merch, man.
I want my face on a mug.
I like it. Can you imagine?
Absolutely not.
Here's my mug.
Oh, perfect.
It says
all
crazy.
I would buy that.
Fantastic.
And
It's
then
already
on the
there.
back, we should have a picture of our host, Colin. So it'll be crazy Colin.
A glossy high-res JPEG.
And
People want
this
more
mug.
Colin.
It's my mug on a mug.
And then we need our logo on the bottom so that when people drink.
No, put my face on the bottom on the inside. So I'm like a surprise when you're done with the drink.
Down there.
Yeah. And I'm like, that tasted good, didn't it? What if you could have the satisfaction of whatever you were drinking in your ears?
I love it. So
I recommend
there's another podcast topic. It's going to be our merch idea episode. We're going to end up with toilet
podcast
paper.
Within a podcast, steps to the stage.
Toilet paper
about how we became a multimedia empire based solely on. Yeah,
we can come up with some pretty bad and good ideas. So cool. Well, Colin, what are some of the things that you got out of this year, and what do you want? What's kind of your goals and plans outside of merch for next year?
I mean, getting to tell people that I host a podcast is pretty freaking cool. Like, that's a cool little, flashy little badge that I get to wear to people sometimes. That's always fun. Just getting to talk to cool people, man. People that I know, people that I don't know that well, that I've been able to grow closer to over the course of these little interviews has been incredible. And getting to learn from these people in a way that I haven't been able to learn from them before. It's crazy how much you can get out of someone just by talking to them.
Right.
Just by sitting down and having a dedicated space and time to be now we are just going to talk to each other and that is it. We're not going to we'll joke around a little bit, but we're not trying to accomplish any other goal other than let's figure this out between the two of us. And it's really interesting to see what people do.
Shared experience is that emotion of, hearing someone have a conversation that's a like-minded love that you have.
Exactly.
Just it's like hearing good music that you've haven't heard for a long time. It brings back great memories of the times that was there. And these conversations, I think, do the same things. Another idea. I love these discussions because they spark so many great ideas. But you're in college right now, Colin, and
yes.
and I believe your major or your goal is in theater arts. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah. Musical theater. Yeah. Musical theater major.
I would love next year for us to maybe interview one of your professors.
I was just thinking about that.
Really?
Yeah.
What a wild concept, Kirk.
Yeah. And I think we should also interview that crazy choir director who's running around with his, because we can get some good insight.
Talk to him as an alumni. Oh my God.
That would be fun.
I'm sure
that would be interesting. That'd be fun.
I'm sure we can set that up. But that's really what this podcast should be doing, is talking to all levels of art. Whether it's choir, whether it's theater, in college and high school.
Most long-form conversations I have with Mr. Davis have not ended well historically. So it'll be
that's
you hear that, Mr. Davis?
Have a change of pace for once.
Maybe I'll do that interview.
Oh, good. Okay, fantastic.
Well, you guys, this has been fun.
This
and
has
cool.
Really been, the whole year has been fun.
It really has. It's been too long since we've got back together and done this. I know this last holiday period has been crazy and lots going on, but I'm glad we did this. I'm so thankful for you guys, for your families, that outside of this podcast, we have a great relationship, and that, we get to share these moments together. I always appreciate seeing you at events. I appreciate seeing you when we get together for this particular aspect of our lives that we have together. But I appreciate seeing your things, that you share online. And I think that goes with all of us and those that are part of the arts community. So keep it up. Stay strong, everyone. We're going to get through all this. This group is going to keep trying to give you some really good content throughout the year, and we ask that you please support us and let the world know and get it out there. And like we talked about earlier, we'll work on getting some forums together on new topics and questions, and we'll get lists of guests coming up, and we'll get some more support out there and get a broader outreach, and should have some fun with this. So,
yeah.
That's all I got. Joey, what's your parting 2021 as we are now officially nearly 12 hours away from the end of this year?
Oh my God.
Wow.
There's so much you need to do.
Yeah.
Well, I'll look into talking to my choir director about if he'd be interested to talking to Colin.
Nice. I think I opened a can of worms there.
Yeah.
No, it'll be fun. It'll be great. It'll be fantastic.
Yeah, it'll be great. Great.
Yeah, I'll talk to my college professors and see if any of them are interested in stopping by for a chat.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool, guys. Well, have a fantastic New Year's Eve celebration.
Absolutely.
The funny meme
everybody
that's going out there today is, I'm not even sure, what is it? I'm not quite sure what I'm going to wear in the living room tonight. I'm not even sure if I'm going to go. So I think that's kind of the same for a lot of people. I know we're staying at home, obviously, and enjoying the new year, but great to see you guys again. Great to hear your voices. Great to share thoughts and feelings and experiences. And I'm glad that it's meant a lot to you guys, and as it has for me. And I think it's going to grow, and I think we're going to really get a lot out of this going into 2022. So
yeah.
All right, you guys. Well, I appreciate it. And that's a wrap.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Huzzah, huzzah.
Thanks for tuning in. Please subscribe to Steps to the Stage on your favorite podcast platform. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all that good stuff. And scene.